Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of the Old School Cannabis Project with myself, Blue Skies, Smoke or Rich, and joined today by special guest, Skelet0n420 from Instagram. Welcome to the show, bro.
Hey man, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on, and I do appreciate all the people who've subscribed so far. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, because when we get to 2,000, I will be giving some sort of giveaway for some number of people, which I haven't decided yet. But there will be a giveaway at 2,000, so hit subscribe. Welcome to the show, and yeah, great to have you with us, Skeleton.
Yeah, thanks man. I'm just sitting here smoking on some of that blueberry frankincense one that I grew out of your blueberry skunk haze pack for my last run. Just sitting here in the garden, smoking a J this morning.
I could hear the birds tweeting away there. Sounds
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. Today is a very nice day actually, especially for this area.
Cool. So you're up in upstate New York, you said, yeah?
Yep, yep, that's it.
Yeah. Shout out to New Yorkers as well. I've got quite a few people up in New York State growing my genetics, which is cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're smoking on the blueberry frankincense, which you found in my blueberry skunk haze pack, yeah, from the new season's menu.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like the way that it grew as well. I've been using a new nutrient line. Been using some rooted leaf. I like it because it's organic. It's got this like I don't know how to describe it. It's like a carbon-based organics, I guess. But I started using that, and I started using that with your line. And something that I noticed was it seemed like maybe not all of them, but really that blueberry frankincense one seemed to have like, even as it was senescing, even as like it was maturing and the hairs were senescing, turning from white to red, and there was like these little ones that would sort of perpetuate and stayed white. And even I probably harvested a little bit earlier than I could have. I could have waited a little bit longer. I used a real small battery this time. I want to get a bunch done as fast as I could, so that way I had some variety to smoke on. But the way that blueberry grew and finished, it produced one of the heavier weights of what I pulled down from those little small containers, and the smoke is so nice. It's blueberry. It's got some skunk. It's got some a little bit of fruitiness to the smoke. The smoke is smooth and soft. Like it's and I want to say everything so far that I've smoked of yours, nothing has made my heart start beating out of my chest. Nothing, even though I got this great buzz going on, I'm not having anxiety. I'm not, most of what I've smoked so far, I'm not finding myself walking in circles, forgetting what I was doing 2 seconds ago. I'm like working on my yard, I'm working on my house, I'm fucking taking care of the shit I gotta take care of, and I'm doing it all with a great buzz, and it's hours in between when I'm smoking rather than just 20, 30, 40 minutes in between each smoke. So I'm real happy with what I pulled down from you so far, man. First run's a win.
So what? This is the first time you've grown my genetics.
Yeah, sir.
Okay, cool. So it's nice to hear what you say, man, and it kind of chimes with what Mr. Sauer, if you caught that episode recently, he's been on a couple of episodes recently talking about the effects. And yeah, it's
I
nice to
did.
build up this. It's nice to build up this bank of testimonies of effects, so that people who haven't grown my genetics or like the old school stuff, they haven't experienced that, they can understand. There's more and more evidence, as it were, and people's testimony just saying how the highs are different to modern weed. It's superior. It's a superior high, no doubt. It's not. You will certainly find some things that are like very heavy indica type smokes, but for a large part of the gene pool from Old Timer One, the effects are happy, calming, invigorating, but without, as you say, like the edge or any. Do you normally find, as you mentioned it, do you normally find with sort of the stuff you've been smoking or growing so far that it does have that effect, like some kind of anxiety inducing effect and your heart racing?
Yeah, yeah. You
Really,
know,
right?
sitting there in a chair and your heart's beating out of your chest. Maybe some people like that sort of thing, and, good, great for them, but me, most of the time, I don't need my heart beating out of my chest. I can, I can manage that all on my own. So,
Yeah, well, that's the kind of, I don't, well, I was going to say I don't smoke too much modern weed. At the moment, when I'm in the UK, I kind of do because I'm not really in a position to grow when I'm over here. But I don't find generally the modern stuff too heart racing. I've experienced that kind of effect with like some extreme sativas, but generally with the modern stuff, I just find either has no effect, or if there is some negligible noticeable effect that lasts, a short duration, it's just like pretty, just super dull and boring. It's just really unmotivating, and I guess it's a depressant. Whereas the gene pool I've got with Old Timer One, um, the effects are completely different. They're stimulating, but in a non, kind of artificial sort of chemical stimulation. It's just
yeah,
makes you happy, just gives you some get up and go,
yeah.
makes you feel good. And that's when you're feeling good, it makes you generally just, get on with your day a little bit better.
A couple days ago, I've been going through these strains trying to see what I could, smoke on before we had our podcast here. And I had some of the blueberry skunk haze and a little terpentine ticket mixed together. And I make my joint and I sit there. And to give you a little perspective, I have been going through quite a lot this past year. So I've had some challenges with my day to day. And I have been sitting around more than I would like to, but time and a place for everything, right? So as I feel I've been progressing out of this negative space that I happened to get into for a little while, growing your smoke, sitting there on the couch. I've been sitting around and smoking a lot, and almost I'd say 90% of what I've smoked is I'll sit there and I'll just sit there and smoke. And when I smoked yours the other day, woke up in the morning, rolled up a J, sat there. I was doing my same old shit. Fucking Saturday morning, even sitting there watching some show, smoking a J. And after like 20 minutes of getting into the J, I'm like, I'm not even watching the show. I'm not even thinking about a show. I don't really feel like sitting down. No anxiety, no speediness, but I feel like I want to get up. I want to get up. I want to go cut that grass. I want to go, take care of that thing over there. Give that kitty cat, that doggo, some attention. Like, it just made me wanna. It made me feel good about moving around. It made me want to move around. And yeah, just like you say, a lot of that modern stuff, and I feel it. I feel it, and I don't know what's in it. And you know, I don't want to knock anybody, because if anybody's good for somebody, then good. If bud can help somebody, great. But I've been doing this for about 7 years now. I've been growing off and on just for funsies since I was a kid, but I've been doing this consistently, intentionally for about 7 years now. And this is some of the best bud I've ever smoked. It grew well, it grew easy, and now I'm on your show. So fuck, man. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's another thing I find about the old timer one genetics. They are very vigorous, very easy to grow. Occasionally, people say they found who is it? I think it's Zay Deadly's roots. He said one of his start 23's hungry, but generally most of the plants are easy to care for. They're not too hungry. Hungry plants are something I've always deselected against when I've been making seeds. Anything that's particularly hungry or hungry for one nutrient above its peer group, I'll just fuck it off, out the gene pool. But yeah, generally they're very vigorous. They're very easy to grow. Their health is great.
Yeah.
They're not infected with all these modern viruses because they're completely unrelated to any of these bullshit strains that are out there today. And yeah,
Didn't
it's
need any hardly any pruning either. And I really like plants that don't have to prune a lot. Kind of my thing that I'm working on learning about and experiencing is trying to grow these plants in a way that you don't need a trellis and you don't need, you know, a bunch of fucking sticks and stuff like that, because that's just not what I want to do. I don't want to mess with that stuff. I want to grow, you know, I don't need absolute maximum yield. I just want these plants to grow, you know, as well as they can and as strong as they can without needing to do too much. So what I normally do sometimes is I'll grow them straight up, no training at all, no topping, to see how they sort of form and how the lateral side branching comes out. Mm-hmm. Lately I've been doing a little bit more training with this next run, but again, like I try to grow the plants naturally in a way that they don't need much training or much trimming either. And so far, man, yours really hitting all the marks.
So what did you find in the Turktown tickets? You found a skunk cabbage or a cabbage skunk, I remember you mentioning.
Yeah, one of them smelled kind of more like cabbage. Like they both have like a skunkiness to them. One of them was okay, so let me go through my pictures here. I got one that was a lemony skunk in the Turktown. I got one that was two that were more leaning towards that sort of like vegetable cabbage skunk. And when I say vegetable, I don't really know the word that I would like to use to describe some of these smells that are coming off yours, is because I haven't smelled them before. It's not gas what I got. It's not candy. It's there's subtle smells in there and strong smells in there where I'm just like, I don't have that in my lexicon of descriptors for how to articulate what's in there. But there was these kind of like other versions of skunk, I'll just say, that I'm unfamiliar with and have like this sort of vegetable-y, skunky. Now that one of they're curing, one of them is a little bit more towards like the sweet, and one of them's a little bit more towards like the beefy, sort of skunky. But the one there's one in the Turktown that kind of reminded me of the Star 23 that I just grew. And I wanted to talk about the Star 20 or the 23 Star. What do you call it?
I call it both ways, you know. I can't I can't decide which one to settle on, but I don't mind Star 23 or 23 Star. But yeah, tell us about that one, bro. She was one of the nicest plants of last season, really. The mother.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. So that one I wish I would have kept this male that I had, because this there was one that I had that I kept smelling downstairs. Like I got a 2-story house, and I'm on my first floor at the door closed at the bottom of the stairs, and this thing's upstairs inside of a room, inside of a tent. And there's no vent on the outside of the tent. Vent's just from the inside of the tent. And I keep getting these whiffs. And I go upstairs and I'm like, which one are you? Which one are you? And I go through the stems and I'd rub, and I hit that Star 23 stem, and it just smelled like skunk, like straight up skunk. And ended up being a male. I just didn't have the capacity at that moment to do anything with the male, so I called it, and I kept a few more. Then I kept one more, ended up being female. So I did notice that on the handful of seeds that I grew, it was a little more of the males than females, but I got more seeds, so you know you get about 50-50, right? Mm-hmm. So anyways, I grew the Star 23 Star out, female. She stunk the whole time. She stayed pretty small for compared to the rest for what I had. I've seen other people growing her. She does get bigger. Again, I want to really beat that home for anybody listening. Like, looking at my plants that I grew of yours on my page, I grew them very small intentionally. Okay, just want to get that out of the way again. But this thing grew all the way through. She stunk the whole way through. Now that she's been in the jar for a couple of weeks, she is starting to get that sort of ammonia-y. But it's not just ammonia. There's like a beef stew kind of skunk with like that vegetableness, that there's some beefiness in there, some meatiness. It smells great, you know. It smells really great, and the buzz off of that one is a nice, like I feel it in my teeth.
Yeah, bro.
It's a strong buzz. If people aren't used to smoking some of these things, I want to say like I smoke every single day. I smoke many grams a day. I smoke more sometimes on the weekends and holidays and shit like that. I smoke all the time. I smoke every day. And I can smoke a bowl of your stuff and be good for hours. I can smoke more and get higher, but I can smoke a bowl. So if anybody's like new to this stuff, for yours especially, just a couple puffs, buddy. Just a couple puffs is all you're gonna need.
Yeah, that's another nice feature of these genetics, long-lasting, potent highs and
Oh
a
yeah,
range of effects.
sitting there just like thinking to myself, I was playing some poker online the other night. I'm like, I'm gonna need to smoke a bowl in a little bit. And then about 20, 30 minutes goes by, and I'm like, shit, I never smoked that bowl. I'm gonna need to smoke that in a little bit. About 20, 30 minutes goes by. I'm like, yes, dude, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I know. I feel you on that.
So, is that what the spectrum of what you grew last time? Basically, you grew Turptown and
Turptown,
fruit Star 23
mm-hmm. couple
and
couple
blueberry.
blueberry. Yep, and there was a boss pack in there. Ended
Okay,
up being
cool.
one from the boss pack, which came out like a minty haze, and then I
Oh,
had a freebie from you, which just produced a really nice amount of bud, really, really easily.
okay, cool. So, what do you plan on growing next?
I want to do that smile. I got some tropical fruit smile from you,
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
and I got some rotten berry skunk. So I'm gonna do those two from you next. Um, I got a, I got probably 3 or 4 packs of Turptown Ticket. I got three
Oh,
or four
wow.
packs of Boss Pack. Um, and then I still got more blueberry. I still got more 23. I picked up a few different times from me over the years. I have a deep paranoia that I just can't get rid of that pertains to the operations of our illustrious leaders of this country and the world. And I don't trust that at a point whenever they decide, because the reason it's legal right now is because they've decided it, just like it used to be legal. And then they decided that it wasn't anymore, and they can change their mind again. And
Hmm.
with the way things are going with genetics in general, I don't trust that they won't decide at a point that you can't buy seeds anymore from Joe Blow. Not
Yeah.
without having to go back to the old ways of doing it, because Joe Blow seeds aren't GMO seeds. And the only seeds that you can grow, even if it's cannabis or government sanctioned cannabis seeds that are, safe for the public and, doing the government things that they want. Like, no, 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 no. I want seeds of as many as much as I can get from as many different people as I can get, so I can get a variety. And that's another reason why I like, I happen to come across yours. I'm like, you got tremendous variety. You got a gene pool that doesn't have, cookies, cookies, cookies. I look at some of these strains, I'm like, what? And I've had some good cookies. It's not my go-to. It's not my go-to, but I've had some good cookies, but it blows my mind the amount of people that have cookies in their genetics. So you start looking like, oh, like what's in this thing? Look at the genealogy. Then you're like, oh, it's got fucking cookies. How about that one over there? It's got fucking cookies. Like, why is cookies in all of these varieties? And then you smoke a bunch of the varieties and you go, oh, the high from all of these varieties is very similar. Some of the buds look different. There's different colors, and stuff like that. And they're all got fairly strong flavor, but it's like I don't just care what it tastes like. I do care what it tastes like. It does matter, but I care more about how it makes me feel, because if it doesn't make me feel the way I want it to feel, I'm not just sitting, I'm not just trying to sit all day like some fucking moron with a fucking vape in his mouth. You know, I need the flavor constantly. Like, dude, I got shit I gotta do. I enjoy a good flavor, but like again, it's not only about that. And I feel like a lot of these strains, they're just about flavor and they're just about bag appeal and trichome density. And it's like none of that fucking matters. It's one of the best weeds I ever smoked in my entire life. I was about 14, 15 years old. My pal and I palling around, doing kid shit. And, you know, we just started smoking buds at this point, probably close to 16, 15 and a half. And my buddy gets a hold of this little bud, maybe a dime size, and it's black. It's black as black could ever be of weed. It's not dark purple, it's not dark green, shit's black. And it's got some trichomes on there, and it's a little bit on the leafy side. And it smelled so strong that when we had it upstairs in his pocket at the house, we were like, this smells too strong. We have to hide it. So we hid it deep in his room. And still, we're like, we can smell this weed. It smells way too strong. There's no hiding it. Went outside, decided to smoke it. Got the highest I can ever remember being off of weed. And I've tripped at this point too, so it wasn't something else. It was just fantastic cannabis. And it looked like nothing else I'd ever seen today. So from that to where I am now, I'm kind of on this journey to like either try to recreate that or find it if I could happen to find it again. So your genetics I'm learning are part of that recreation that I'm trying to make happen for that. I need some skunkiness. I want to find some things that can turn nice and dark. And I want to make something that can remind me of that most favorite bud I used to have. And there wasn't no fucking cookies involved.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
got any idea what it might have been?
What's that?
I said, do you have any idea what it might have been, that bud?
I even reached out to my old pal and he remembers it all those years ago and he doesn't even smoke anymore, but like yeah, no idea. Absolutely no idea. I don't even know. This was in North Carolina at the time. So like
Do you have a
Is
year
that
time
grown?
frame? Do you have a year time frame of it?
oh, let's see. Okay, so probably would have been around late 90s, early 2000s.
Cuban Black Haze or not? If you're in North Carolina, then you're getting stuff from Gainesville probably as well from that time.
Gainesville, where's that?
Florida. So right under. There's probably a lot of stuff from Georgia. I'd imagine it's probably a haze.
Yeah.
You said it was psychedelic?
It was, yeah. Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
and super skunky. Like you
Skunky
just
though? Skunky?
super
Okay.
skunky.
See,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes it a little different. I'm sure you could probably find something like that though.
I'm pheno hunting, man. I'm going through as many seeds as I can cram into my little space with a couple lights that I got. And just chipping away at it. I picked up some stuff recently from the Indian land race people. You guys heard about them Indian land race exchange?
Yeah.
I just picked up some Kandahar selections from them that look nice and dark. So maybe gonna be mixing that with some blue sky stuff.
Well, your point that you made about stocking up on genetics before the
Yeah,
government
yeah,
either prevents you from doing so or fucks around with the genetics, genetically modifies everything it can do, like it
yep,
does everything else. Um, yeah, I think it's very, very fucking wise to stock up on a source of genetics that you know are entirely
yep,
clean, as it were,
yep,
and not fucked with, um, and create your own gene pool, which you preserve and grow, to the end of your
yeah,
days.
yeah,
Because what is coming is a really, really, really bad fucking time for cannabis and consumers. It's already here. You got twats like fucking copycat fucking with his CRISPR bullshit, which is GM. And we don't even know how long or how widespread that is. We don't, if for all we know, it could have, they could have introduced genetically modified varieties into the gene pool before we're now getting aware of it's been done intentionally, or they're letting us know. It could have been done. People could have been consuming it unknowingly already.
They could make a modification to a genetic that when you grow it yourself, maybe it won't even produce seeds. Or
well, the Terminator gene is what they use in all kind of agricultural GM products. So yeah, they can certainly do that without doubt.
Yep.
Hundreds of thousands of Indian farmers committed suicide over that very fact. So yeah, unable to save seeds like they have been doing for thousands of years, and suddenly given this GM Terminator shit, which they can't save seed from, then have to go back to the GM company, Monsanto or whoever, to buy the seeds again every single year. Fuck that bullshit.
Yeah.
So yeah, GM weed is about the worst thing that's could ever possibly happen to cannabis. I think they made everything legal the way that they have in recent times, because first they made cannabis completely fucking shit and devoid of all the good effects that my gene pool from the 60s to 90s from Old Timer One has and has preserved. But once, by and large, what the average person was growing and consuming had been just turned into just some dull bullshit. I think they legalized then because all those kind of mind expanding, conscious fucking expansion kind of strains were gone and out the gene pool. And also, yeah, GM was now in full effect and was a commonplace science, as it were, now, and they can easily manipulate it. So yeah, and what we've mentioned in previous episodes, we mentioned a book called Seeds of Destruction, which is the best book on GM that I've ever read. And in a nutshell, the research from that shows that any act of tinkering with the natural genetics of anything, plants, animal, human, ends up causing mutations, which results in cancer. So animals that were consuming GM corn after 3 months of being on a GM diet, as it were, they started to develop tumors. And then Monsanto cut all testing at 90 days because it was just likely after 90 days these tumors would start to develop. So they cut all future testing and research and papers being released at 90 days. But yeah, it's proven that you consume GM, you're going to get cancer, basically. So the most medically beneficial plant that we've got on the face of the earth, which cures cancer, will end up being something that fucking causes cancer.
Yeah, for sure. And it didn't have to be that way. And it absolutely didn't have to be that way. And if the workaround, as well as I think one can do it, is to just have some fucking sense of what's going on, enough to save a couple of pennies, to stock up on what you need, to make sure that you don't got to go crazy and spend, sell your car to get a couple thousand extra bucks to go get a gene pool because the bombs are about to go off. If the bombs go off, we're all fucked anyways. But if we just kind of cognizantly be cognizant of this, and just sort of like, as often as you can, that's what I do, and that's my advice to anybody too, is to just, like, as often as you can, man, just do a little scoop here, a little scoop there. If you can do a little bigger scoop, if you can only do a little small scoop this week, this month, whatever, but get a little scoop as often as you can right now, because yeah, like you said, and I think, like we all know, we're not heading towards a good place right now. We're if we were looking at ourselves on a little chart, we're on a downtick right now. So be smart about it and fucking stock up.
Yeah, and that goes for everything, not just fucking cannabis seeds. You want to be fucking self-sufficient in all ways, because what's coming is not going to be fucking good. And so people need to be prepared.
I agree. I wish it wasn't like that, but and it's not even about just like turn on the TV and then like, oh, if you turn the TV off, like it goes away. Like, well, it used to kind of be like that, but now it's like it actually is. It's everywhere. And if you ignore what's going on, the bad shit's just gonna get worse. So you kind of can't ignore what's going on anymore. You have to at least acknowledge it and take steps towards trying to make a fucking brighter future. So like, what does that mean? Growing some good pot. And you know what, man? Nobody that I've gotten seeds from has taken care of me from the get-go before we even had any kind of a relationship or rapport with each other. For how much seeds you've sent me from the get-go, nobody has sent me as much as Blue Skies. Nobody. So take that to the fucking bank.
Yeah, well, I do hook everybody up really because I appreciate the support. And the way I look at it is the people that support me in the face of all the, not the bullshit they see online. They're not the average fucking spastic that says, "Oh, I'm not going to buy Blue Skies because some fucking cocksucker like JJ said something." People who actually put their money into trying something for themselves, I fucking reward those people, A, with fucking genetics that are as great as I say, and B, with more of them. Because I appreciate those people. Because they're not the average fucking retard in the world today, you know?
Well, I'll mention this too to anybody listening. I am a curious individual by nature. I ask a lot of questions and I dig as deep as I can until I get a little uncomfortable, and then I usually dig a little bit more just so I can fucking feel like I know what the fuck's up. And what I found out about old Mr. Blue Skies, because I was asking questions about you too to fellow growers to see what's up with the Blue Skies guy, man. He's different. What is it? What does it all mean? Why is he talking like this? Why is he ranting and raving, right? Okay. And what I found out from talking to complete strangers that have been doing this for longer than I've been doing it, longer than 7 years, 10, 15 years. Some of these guys I've been talking to, 12 years that have been doing this. I think I've had 2 conversations, 3 different people, 2 different conversations, 2 different, right about there, right? And they've let me know that as far as they know, and these are people that I know offline, but I trust them. They've helped me with my garden. They've been doing this longer. Occasionally you can still find somebody in this community that is just willing to just help you for the sake of helping you and giving you advice. It does happen, and I do it for others as well. But in finding out that several people who I won't name have gotten Blue Skies genetics, and they have searched his genetic pool to see if they can find a keeper, and then they do. And then within their own little company, newer or older, they will come out and say, look at this old school skunk that's been in my family or some shit like that for generations. And now I'm finally able to share it with you. And that's not true. They got it from Blue Skies. Some of them really did. They got a keeper from Blue Skies. They brought it into their own line, just like you do with like old timer skunk, just the same way that it happened with that one. And with people, except that it was being shared with old timer one. People will get his genetics, they'll find it, and then they won't want to say where they got it from, which makes no fucking sense to me as a person, as a grower. Like, all I want to do is see my friends and my peers become successful, because at a point I am going to become successful. My goal is to become one of the best growers in the world. Whether that gets me fame and fortune, that's not the goal. I'm not here for money. I'm here because I want to become a great grower, and I have had this plant shared with me, and I will, and I do, and I will continue to. Anybody who meets me, bro, you got a really good chance. If there's any sort of goods or services exchanged between us two, if you smoke bud, dude, you're getting hooked the fuck up that day, you happen to come do some plumbing at my house, dude, if you smoke, you're catching a tip, buddy. And it's going to be cooler and better than anybody you've ever visited at any other house, because that's why I like to be. It makes me feel good to do stuff like that. And that's the vibe that I get from you is, you know, there's a frustration side that comes from, and I have it too, that comes from having to deal with all the fucking bullshit that's going on today. But, you know, at the core of it, I'm a good dude who wants to fucking share this bud with everybody that I can, as much as I can, for as well as I can. And I think that's what, you know, sort of has kept me around the Blue Skies vibe, man.
Bro, I appreciate that. It's a great place to just stop. If you got time, we'll do another link, yeah?